Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest edition of Reliving the Extreme. We've been on a little summer hiatus the past couple of weeks, and this episode dropping not on the normal Saturday that we normally dropping midweek, which is unusual, but it is what it is. But we want to welcome everybody back to Reliving the Extreme. Nate Maxon here with you, and before we get to the shizo, I want to do some plugging here. First of all, if you are not a friend of Chad Austin on Facebook, friend Chad on Facebook, send him a friend request. Chad Austin DeMera is the name that you want to look for, and that way Chad can invite you to his group, Chad's Video Vault, where Chad would be willing to make you DVDs of pro wrestling from any era. Anything you're looking for, you can ask Chad if he's got it, and he will make that for you and get it to you in a timely fashion. Again, be Chad's friend on Facebook, Chad Austin DeMera, and join Chad's Video Vault. For your wrestling content, do it. And also, ladies and gentlemen, would be remiss if I didn't mention, check out WrestleNet Radio, 24/7, 365, pro wrestling talk. All you have to do is go to the Google Play Store and search for WrestleNet Radio. I believe you can search one word or two. It comes up either way. Download the app, and you can hear episodes of this show, episodes of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, the Asylum Wrestling podcast, the Tornado Tag podcast is coming soon also, and plenty of original shows like If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking with Mr. Archie Mitchell. So that being said, let's get started reliving the extreme. This time around on Reliving the Extreme, ladies and gentlemen, we are reviewing the episode of ECW from February the 15th, 1994. We know you've missed us, as we've been on a little summer hiatus here, but we are back. This is Nate Maxon, and of course my brother Aaron is here.
Hello.
And ECW's own Chad Austin, rocking the Kiss shirt just for Aaron this week. You can't see it, folks, but we can.
The great Chad Austin.
The great Chad Austin and the great Kiss.
Yeah, I know. I also got a Kiss Destroyer shirt too, just for Aaron, but I wore that yesterday.
All right, guys. Well, anything we want to discuss before we get into the show this week? I know since the last time we had the show or did the show, we've had some devastating losses in the wrestling community. The Assassin, Burt Prentice. I know, Chad, you said you worked. Did you work for Burt Prentice or with Burt Prentice?
Yeah, I worked for him. He didn't like me.
Oh, really?
Like I was in a doghouse from day one because the day I got there, because I knew I wasn't gonna make any money there.
Mm-hmm.
So I saved up like a couple grand just so I knew I was gonna starve. And the first night I was there, I asked his top babyface, which was Brian Logan. Remember him?
Yeah.
He wrestled under the name Christian Devereaux.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey, look, I got a let's get a hotel. I'll pay for it." And then we went out on the town that night, and we went down to Beale Street, and we got all banged up. I mean, we were dancing at BB King's bar, like with the dancers and stuff. And he got so drunk, he called his wife in the middle of the night, and his wife was so pissed at him that she said, "You better get your ass home." And so literally, he packed up his shit and left to go home. And then I went down to the front desk, and I was like, "Why are my bags down here?" And the guy goes, "Well, because the guy you were staying with, he left." And I had to call Bert and tell him, "Hey, man, Christian left." And literally, like ever since that day, all I do is jobs.
First impressions, right?
Like he was going to push me because I had worked for Bert sporadically. Like I would do trips down there I would work like with Ian.
Mm-hmm.
Ian would book like a couple of weeks down there, and I'd fly to meet Ian, and we would drive to a bunch of shows, and most of them were Bert shows. And Bert loved me because I was an ECW guy, and I did that flippy floppy shit.
Right.
So he was all looking forward to me coming down there to start working for him. And then the first night, I chased his top babyface away. So I knew I was in a doghouse from then, and I probably, if I wouldn't have done that, I bet you I could have stayed for the whole entire run, right, of the show, of that company. But after about 10 months, 11 months, I think I started early in the year, and then come December, he was like, "Look, I only have one date for you for December." So instead of firing me, he did what Memphis did.
Just starved you?
they just starve you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I have enough money to stay here, but if you only have one date for me, what's the sense?
Well, at that point, it's probably better for you anyway if you were just getting jobbed out every week.
Well, I didn't give a shit because my whole one of my wrestling goals were to wrestle like a territory that wrestled every day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that, like living on the road. Going to Evansville on Wednesday. Working for Lawler on the weekends.
Right.
Lawler and fucking Randy fucking Crackpipe was running spot shows. So I'd pick up shows on the days that Bert wasn't running.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Bert didn't like me, but I just liked working for him because it was every day of the week, and he didn't even pay me the guarantee. Like he was guaranteeing me Memphis money, the $40 a night. I don't think I got it once.
Getting the stiff there. Well, then, of course, I mean, unanimously, everyone is devastated by the passing of Bobby Eaton. And what I wanted to ask you, Chad, is I know we're gonna see it eventually watching the show. He made maybe one TV taping for ECW. I think it was in '94 when Arn Anderson came in. Did you get to interact with Bobby? Did you get to?
Yeah, I was there. They didn't. I don't think they used me on that show because that was when Worlds Collide.
Right.
Oh, they ain't the ice cream man this time. It's just the argument of neighbors. They just know I'm doing a show, so they figured the ice cream man ain't here, so they're just gonna honk horns. Bobby. I mean, Bobby. At one time, this is not a rib or this is not a joke, but because Bobby couldn't talk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Maryland State Athletic Commission thought that he was fucked up, and they told him that he couldn't work the show because they thought he was so fucked up because the guy couldn't understand what he was saying. So he's like, "You're not working tonight," and everybody was like, "Why?" And they were like, "Well, he's clearly fucked up," and we were like, "No, he's not." He could do the autograph signings, but he couldn't work. But let me tell you, that night that Bobby came out at When Worlds Collide, because he wasn't the first guy. It was Arn. Arn was the first guy, right?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Bobby was the second surprise.
Yes.
So, like, the place went banana when Arn came out. And then when Bobby came, because I think they did the same deal like Paul always does with the lights going out kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bobby Eaton was there. And, like, the place just went double ape shit because you got Arn and Bobby in the ring at the same time. And I mean, he was one of them guys that you know how I don't know, you don't know about the business, but one of the first things they teach you in wrestling school is when you go into a locker room, you shake everybody's hands.
Right.
And Bobby was like, he'd do the deal where he would shake your hand and put his other hand on you, like the outside of your hand, like like to meet you or something like that. I don't know what he said, but I think it was nice to meet you. But yeah, other than that, and we had him in Maryland at one time, and other than that, no, I mean. I know I worked on a Smoky Mountain show that he worked on, but I didn't. We had separate locker rooms,
right?
The stars and the not stars, the enhancement talent. So it was like me and Chris Hamrick. We're the only two people. And what's his name? The Gambler.
The Gambler. Yeah,
we were like the only two people in that locker room.
My sentiments on the We Can't Wrestle podcast were in people all have their favorites. They have their opinions, et cetera, et cetera. There are the great tag teams. There are the greatest tag teams. There are great tag teams, and there's great tag team wrestlers. Me personally, I think Bobby was the greatest tag team wrestler. He may not have the Midnight Express may not have even always been my favorite team, and he may not have always been in my favorite thing. But like body of work, watching him work as a tag team wrestler, for me as a mark sitting there watching it, he's my favorite tag team wrestler of all.
Well, I mean, who had better chemistry with a tag team partner than Bobby?
Right.
I think his chemistry with Dennis was better than Stan, but I think his chemistry got great with Stan after a while. But for my money, I would say him and Dennis. Mm-hmm.
And even later on, I really enjoyed his team with Regal. They meshed. At first, when they first put them together, you didn't think they would mesh well together, and then you watch, and they were really, really fucking good together too. I think.
Yeah, I like anything that Bobby did. I mean, and then we can't brush over the fact that Jody Hamilton died too.
Yes.
He's the guy that booked me for WCW, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got there and I talked to him, because he sat what would be in WCW's locker room would be the gorilla. And we started talking, and I started bringing up Georgia, and he was acting like I was too young, like to even know whatever,
Right.
And I'm talking to him about all this shit, and then we just talked for like, I don't know, a couple of hours. I think like 3/4 of the show went by, and I don't think he even did his job, because we were just talking about like the whole entire like Georgia loop, you know what I mean? Kind of thing. But yeah, do you think he attacked Dusty already?
Did he have the Mil or the Mil Mascaris mask or whatever on the luchador mask when he got there and attacked Dusty from behind?
I can just see like up there in heaven, like Dusty's up there, and all of a sudden the assassin comes in and like jumps him from behind, and I'm just like, damn, man.
Well, me not being 100%, like going back and watching stuff now, but not having seen it before. One question I have, because I know you're familiar, especially with Continental and stuff, is I guess if I've never seen why, then I plead ignorance. But was there a storyline reason that at times he would wrestle instead as the Flame, or was that just
no? That was supposed to be a whole different character.
Okay.
Like everybody knew it was the same guy.
Right. That's why I asked, because I'm like, it's perfectly obvious it's the same guy. Like they didn't even try to to make it any different. But
well, the best part is that on the spot shows, it wouldn't be Jody. It would just be some fat schlub that they just threw an assassin's mask on and called him the assassin. Because I'm watching it going, that's not fucking Jody Hamilton. And who is this? This is like
that guy just fell over. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Jody could kind of work, and I'm just like, they got some job guy to do it. But yeah, it's been a rough week, and I can't believe that my name hasn't made the list yet. I can't believe that I'm still here. And then after all the WWE cuts and all that other stuff, like we were talking about earlier, I think that all that's going to be left is going to be a 3-hour marathon of people chasing R-Truth for the 24/7 title, because they're just getting rid of everybody to the point where it's just going to be like a show where everybody's just running around the building chasing R-Truth.
All the agents. Adam Pearce is chasing him around. They're still there. John Laurinaitis. They're chasing around R-Truth.
Adam Pearce sure has a lot of pull there.
Yes.
People were just making their own matches.
All right. Well, Aaron,
Sport's dead too.
Yeah, Marky Post passed away.
Yeah,
is
it just John? Is John Larroquette and Marsha Warfield the only two still living?
The guy
I'm not even sure Marsha is.
Marsha Warfield still there. Yeah, she's still alive.
Is he? I thought he was dead.
I can Google.
Sorry, I had him in an early grave if he didn't, but I thought he was passed on. All right, well, Aaron. Unless you have anything else, we'll get to. All right. Head into this show here. It is December, August, whatever, right, Chad? February 15th, 1994, ECW.
Might as well have been August, because I don't think the show's got any better until 95.
We start off with a recap of the situation between Terry Funk and Shane Douglas at the hotel. The WWE Network, or Peacock, or whatever the hell, they had some weird music for this intro. Like, the first thing I thought was, Christ, that's weird music. What is that?
Yeah. I mean, because it's been so long since we've done this show and I wrote my notes, I did write awful music.
And that is over highlights from the night the line was crossed. Then we get an intro from Joey Styles about the press conference, just talking about that. And then, I know we're flashing through this, but that's kind of what they did too. Jay Sully is with Todd Gordon to announce the main event for the March 5th ECW show at the arena. The Board of Governors of the NWA says that Shane Douglas will get the shot at Terry Funk. And man, Todd Gordon is in full puberty mode during this segment, isn't he?
He's super butthurt that they told him that he had to do it. Like, he wanted somebody other than Shane. He's crying like a little bitch. It's kind
who was the NWA going to pick besides him?
Gordon wanted Sal Balomo, probably.
Or Tommy Cairo.
Tommy Cairo.
And then we got, I just wrote like, oh boy, Jay Sully, and then when when Todd went on that rampage and he just said he was disgusted with Paul, and then he said he was disgusted with Jay Sully, I wrote, Todd is like us. He's just had enough of Jay Sully. Like he's like herpes. He might go away for a couple of weeks, but he comes back.
Just when he's like Hunter Q. Just when you think he's gone,
yeah, they bring him on back.
Comes back up again.
How many times have we mentioned that? Like back in the earlier shows, when we just thought like, oh, this is the last we're going to see of old fucking.
It's like trying to throw away a trash can. They just keep leaving it on the curb. And
Jay Sully and Hunter Q just keep showing up in their 77 Granada together.
Yeah, they split trans, and they're both making like $20 a night.
You get the trans, I'll get the burgers. We'll head on down to the ECW arena.
Or no,
all right.
Hunter will get the coffee. That's what his breath smell like 4-day-old coffee.
Sully looks like he's picked up a couple trans in his life.
Well, okay. All right. We go back to Joey Styles, and on the screen behind us, Chad Austin is headed to the ring.
Where was I?
To have a contest with Shane Douglas that never gets started.
I don't even remember this, guys.
Really?
I literally remember the other incident that I had with Shane, but when I saw this, I literally was like, I don't remember this, you know? And I'm thinking like, I'm trying to think, like, what happened during this? And then as soon as 911 came out and grabbed me, I was like, oh, that's why I don't remember it. Because it
didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what, like Chad said, 911. Go ahead.
He just pulls you out of the ring like a baby, and it's over. Like, it's like he's going to choke.
Did you see how good I went over the top rope, though?
Yeah.
Like when he just grabbed me, I kind of, like, launched myself over the top rope because 911 is so lame, you know? Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure he was blown up from the walk to the ring wearing, like, 250 pounds of cowhide that he was blown up when he grabbed me. So that's why I had to help him. I had to help him out of the ring. But after that happened, I realized that quite possibly me versus 911 could be the hottest feud in ECW.
Right now, it probably is.
Yeah, because it went on about as long as Raven and Dreamer.
So many things revolving around it.
Yeah. It's like no matter who I was wrestling, 911 had a problem with. So he would run in and choke slam them, and then it would just leave me. And then it's like, and then when you hear him choke slam me, how many times did you hear the crowd say one more time? You know, and then it's one more time. I'm going, no more time. You know, he's not capable of doing it one more time. That's what the crowd should have been yelling. Not capable of one more time. Like, please stop.
After the altercation with 911 and Chad, Sabu comes out and attacks Shane Douglas. And when this got started up, I was like, oh, shit, are they having a match? Like, it didn't start out like a fight. Like, to me, it started out like I expected him to start doing hammerlocks and shit, like the way that this fight started.
I thought it was a match for a minute.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, okay, Sabu's wrestling Shane Douglas. Here we go.
And then they brawled like it was a match.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, they were in the ring, they were out of the ring, they were back in the ring, and it was just like, I'm just waiting for, like, John Finnegan to be like, ring the bell.
Yeah, ring the fucking bell. Let's do this.
You know? Yeah, that was kind of crazy, man. I mean, that brawl was. I thought it was a pretty good brawl. I mean, what did you think?
I did too, and I think that we have a bunch of pretty much the locker room empties to come out and break these guys up. You see, you see Hack Myers out there, Mr. Hughes, and Rock and Rebel, and everybody comes out to break it up. But it was very effective. Of course.
Why do you think it was? Because you had Rock and Rebel and Donnie Allen out there trying to break up Sabu.
Well, you always know the fight's intense when the what do you want to say, lower card guys are coming out to break it up.
Well, you can just say it, because I'm not offended by it, and I get pissed off when I hear people saying, "Oh, you can't say the word jobber." Like, that's what you were. You know what I mean? It's not offensive to me because that's what I was. You know, I was paid to go do TV and get beat up on TV by the Star and make them look good. So that was my job. So therefore, what's the adverb? I guess it is
jobber.
It's jobber. So yeah, I don't get offended by it. And when I hear these snowflakes nowadays say that, oh, don't call them jobbers, I'm like, what the fuck do you know? You know, do you even have a pair of boots? You know, who are you to tell me that I'm not a jobber? I'm a jobber, and I'm telling you I'm a jobber.
And proud of it, right? Well, like you said though, like somebody to do that, to play that role in a wrestling promotion, especially on a consistent basis, because I know you said numerous times on this show, ECW had the best jobbers, and by saying that, what I read into what you're saying is we had the best enhancement talent to put over the main guys and make them shine, so they're the main guys. You know, there's a talent in that.
Yeah, because Philadelphia to me had some of the best. Like, I considered almost all the Philadelphia guys, minus a handful. I considered all of them underneath guys, not quite jobbers, but underneath guys. You know, so maybe Sandman, but Sandman didn't become Sandman until later on. But he was still getting kind of pushed a little bit, but he wasn't any good. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It wasn't like he was he wasn't Bret Hart out there.
Right.
But yeah, I thought we had, I mean, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 guys. And then when Mikey came in with the ring crew, and he had Paul Loria and Stormin' Mike Norman.
Yeah.
Like these were like a handful of the guys that we had. So we had a better crop of job guys than a lot of the independents did, because Philadelphia was like, it was better than Baltimore. Like, it's a good thing that they were in Philly and not Baltimore. Because at that time, the Baltimore guys were just dreadful. I'm talking, they were wretched. They were rotten. So if it was in Baltimore, it would have been terrible. And Hack's from Baltimore. Like, I'm pretty sure that I got Hack the job, because I think Paul asked if we knew anybody else. Because I think Paul was getting tired of just beating, me and Mikey and Paul, and we already beat fucking Hervé Ernesto in the powder. So,
yes. Yeah. Stan Hansen took care of that.
so he's gone. So it's just like, do you know anybody? And then when I told Hack, I was like, hey, we need somebody for TV. And he had just developed the Hack Myers character. And he didn't want to be a job guy. But I'm like, Hack, this is your way in, Right. Because you have a good look, it's something different. That maybe after Paul sees you, he might find something for you. And look what it did for him,
Yeah.
It made
he's career. He's on this show here coming up in a little bit.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. Aaron, what did you think of the fight and the breakup and all that before we roll to the next segment?
I enjoyed it, and I think it was, like, obviously effective, because it's something that we all unanimously I can't speak.
No shit.
Yeah. It's all something that we all thought was good stuff. So, it was what it was, and it helped further along the three-way between Douglas, Shane, and Terry Funk.
I really liked how Paul built that whole entire thing. That how he would do a week where it'd be like Sabu and Funk, and then they would brawl, and then they were still running with Funk and Douglas, and then how they tied in Shane with Sabu. Like, I just thought it was just good,
Good, yeah,
because
excellent.
it wasn't hot-shotted.
And Terry Funk's probably not going to be there every week, so it gives Shane and Sabu something to do, since Terry Funk's probably not there that week for that taping.
Right. At this time, isn't he? Is this when he's working WCW too? Has he gone there yet?
94?
Yeah, because there's a time where he's working ECW and WCW at the same time.
Yeah, because it's getting close.
Yeah, wasn't he at Slamboree like that year?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's when that started. Yeah.
So probably about a month.
Yeah. So yeah, you're probably right. They just needed somebody. They just needed somebody in between Funk. While he wasn't there. So everything just worked. All the pieces just fell into place. You know what I mean, for that program. And I thought it was done well, and it was a great build, and it paid off clearly.
The next deal we have is they're hyping the show for the 5th of March. Of course, it's Shane Douglas versus Terry Funk. You got Mr. Hughes versus Road Warrior Hawk coming up on that show.
You know what word's coming up after that?
And Sabu versus Mike Awesome is also going to be on that show. We get a promo from Paul Lee that I thought was pretty good about Shane Douglas. He's just talking about Shane being the most wanted man in wrestling. I've talked to people in Atlanta. I've talked to people in New York. I've talked to people all over the NWA. Just a standard.
In Minnesota, he called Vern called him.
Called Vern.
Vern was thinking about starting back running up.
Needed Shane on top. And now, a tag team match.
Go to Jim Barnett, but that's a totally different thing.
Oh, my boy.
Wait a minute. Didn't we get a Damian Demento promo?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I got Damian Demento and then a Paul promo, and then I have the tag team match. So did you
I don't remember.
Did you guys miss that or something? Because there's no way I just wrote down Damian Demento's name.
Did you watch it on YouTube?
No, I watched it on the network.
I didn't write any of that down.
No, I don't have anything about Damian Demento.
Well, I mean, apparently I was thinking about him. Because his name in ECW. Remember when he wrestled in that Eddie Mansfield company?
Mondo Clean.
Yeah, like his name in ECW was 3D, and he wore a mask or whatever. But anyway,
I didn't even know he was in ECW, so I just learned something.
He wasn't in ECW very long.
The Paul Lee promo I thought was, like I said, a good promo. Pitbull and Rockin' Rebel with Jason, of course, against JT Smith and Tommy Cairo here in a tag team match, which, I mean, it was pretty basic. Joey Styles did call Rockin' Rebel the nastiest man in ECW.
I don't know what this... Probably. I mean, out of all the guys...
Wolfman left, yeah.
Out of all the guys that were there, he was probably the biggest legitimate dick, because that was kind of like his gimmick, you know, because I worked with Chuck a bazillion times, and that was his gimmick. He was sarcastic, you know, so he was a perfect dick. But yeah,
Aaron,
this was a classic, I tell you that.
a basic classic. Aaron, anything on this match here?
No, they really do. I mean, they didn't do anything offensive, but they didn't do anything that was right home about it. It's just a basic tag team match, and Smith and Cairo win.
Yeah, but it's not indicative of what ECW was or is. It was kind of like, this is going backwards.
Yeah, I was about to say this is Cabrini-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I said that match must have cost Paul $75, you know, with all four guys.
That was Jason's suit.
Yeah. After he returned it and got his deposit back, Paul paid all four guys.
After another hype package for the March 5th show, we have a promo with Jason and Mr. Hughes. The line here, Jason, it says, "How do you like?" He doesn't say suit. I swear he didn't say suit. I swear he said, "How do you like my sweat?"
No, he did.
Okay.
He says, "How do you like my gold? How do you like this suit?" And then he rubs himself and goes, "How do you like this sweat?" And it's fucking nasty. It's like, you are nasty. Like, he's the nastiest guy in ECW.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I said it on the show, but yeah, he did some shady shit. Yeah, he did. I mean, he even borrowed my truck one time for him and Angel to go buy crack.
Jesus.
And I didn't know it. He just asked if he could borrow my car to go somewhere or whatever. And then when they came back, they were smoking crack. And I'm like, Jason, they fucking used my car.
Yeah, I thought you were going to Burger King or something. Yeah,
because there is a Burger King right up the street from the arena, and I'm thinking I thought you were taking my car to get food. You know, here the cops are seeing my car, you know, in the hood of South Central Philadelphia. Like, now I got to leave here. You know, I'm afraid they're going to pull. Not that I did anything wrong, but
right.
You know, yeah, that was fucked up, man.
Mr. Hughes cuts his promo, of course, a standard Mr. Hughes promo. He's from the hood in Kansas City, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And
on Road Warrior Hawk.
Guess what name he has to drop in every promo?
The Undertaker. He has to bring him up every time. I'm better than the Undertaker.
Yeah, he buried the Undertaker.
Undertaker beat your ass in like 3 minutes on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, he scooped your ass right up and dropped you right on your goddamn head.
Yep, on the right fist, on the right hand, he's got the Undertaker, and on the left hand, he's got Lex Luger. If he can drop one of those two names, it's a winning promo for Mr. Hughes. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, that for as big of a problem as Mr. Hughes was in the locker room, that guy could work, man. For his size. What do you think he was? 350?
Easily.
And then he threw that drop kick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was impressive as all hell from a guy who's all fucked up.
He's wrestling in dress pants and a shirt. You know, he's just
like, that was crazy.
And the sunglasses hardly ever came off. Good for him, Cal.
I think he got them tattooed on his face.
Then they recap the Tommy Dreamer, Jimmy Snuka footage from last week. with Dreamer kicking out of the Superfly Splash, which was kind of weird, the placement, I guess, because I figured the next match would be after the Hughes promo, but that is what it is. It doesn't matter. That's semantics. We have Mr. Hughes, and I think this might be, other than the pull-apart brawl earlier that we saw, is this the first time we've seen Hack Myers on ECW?
Aaron?
I'd have to go back and check my notes.
Yeah, I don't
sure.
think other than maybe Hack may have been there, like in the locker room, but maybe not used, because wasn't he part of the pull-apart at the hotel?
Yeah.
At the hotel, I don't know. I know he's part of the pull-apart we saw earlier today.
He was at the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah, but the Dreamer Snooker recap, I also thought was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You could just tell that Paul was building to something, kind of thing, and even though the production was still shitty back then, kind of, and all that stuff, like Paul did a great job of leading up to building to the next show, kind of thing,
building the story, and the pacing's really good too. He doesn't. I mean, I don't want to. What do I say? He's not afraid to let something have a slow burn, as opposed to like this thing's been building. We built from Douglas and Funk, and then like you said, then they entered Sabu into the thing, and that went into a triple threat match, and now we're breaking it back down into a one-on-one match. And yeah, the storytelling is really good here and really well paced. You're not getting bored with it, and it also doesn't feel like it's moving too fast.
Do you think that's mainly because Sabu had to go back to Japan?
Could be, yeah.
Like they brought him in. He did his whatever 2 weeks or whatever they did there, and then maybe he was due for another tour, so that's why they brought it back to Funk and Shane. Mm-hmm. Because Sabu wasn't going to be there. And Sabu didn't do promos, so it wasn't like he had to pre-tape anything.
Yeah, Paulie's doing all this talking for him, and half the time Sabu's not even next to Paulie when he's talking for him. Yeah.
Right. Because they're in that stupid room with the door that says whatever locker room. Like, really, I want to know where this locker room is that they speak of.
It's actually kind of smart, too, because Sabu wouldn't stand there for a promo. You know what I mean? Like, his character at this time wouldn't just be standing there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy they got to strap to a board and shit, he's not going to stand there for 2 minutes while Paulie cuts a promo.
Plus, it's Paulie, so it's going to be 5 minutes.
Right. But I think if I would have had, like, the quote-unquote pencil, I would have did one of them promos where he was going to bring Sabu to the studio, and halfway through the promo, you just see a chair fly through. Like, he was, like, throwing chairs, and then do it on Jay Sully. You know what I'm saying? And have Jay Sully just throw the microphone in the air and be like, I'm out of here. And we're all throwing babies in the air. Like, fuck it. Jay Sully's leaving.
The show signs off with the camera panning back on Jay Sully's broken glasses, and that's the last you ever see of Jay Sully.
Unfortunately, I don't think
next week you point Sabu at Maddie in the house, get rid of him too.
I like the Mr. Hughes versus Hack match.
I did too.
I thought Hack did a great job.
He sold really well for Mr. Hughes, and like you said, Hughes. I mean, he had his working shoes on here.
It's a hell of a drop kick.
Yeah, but yeah, Hack did a great job too, selling for Mr. Hughes and putting the man over like he was supposed to.
Yeah, well, I think Paul. I'm not exactly sure, so don't quote me on this number. I think he was getting Mr. Hughes for $300 a night, which to me was a great value, because I think at the time the going rate for Mr. Hughes was $5. But I think because Paul would book him because we would do a Friday show, like a spot show. So I think Mr. Hughes, he just wanted to get paid. So I think he just lowered his pay scale just to get them 2 bookings. Because if he would have said $500, then Paul would have just brought him in for the one show.
Well, you're right about value for the booking cost too, because I know we were joking about how he has to mention the Undertaker in every promo, but from a booker's perspective, from a promoter's perspective, you are getting a guy that is fresh in the minds off of WWF television. People have seen him on national TV. And I mean, even less than a year ago, because he was in WWF around the King of the Ring in '93, and this is February of '94. So he's not too far away from being on national television. So that's a name you can put on a program.
I'm very Undertaker.
Yeah. Even put that.
I beat Chad Austin.
put that on your advertisement. Even the man that didn't beat the Undertaker but wrestled him, Mr. Hughes.
But he beat me. The man who destroyed Chad Austin in shower shoes because I forgot my boots, and that's all I had was them like aqua socks. So it's luckily I don't think the match aired. I don't think it did ever air because I was pissed. I actually legitimately was pissed because this is right around when Paul started pushing me, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where I started getting a couple wins. And then when I saw my name against Mr. Hughes, I'm thinking like, oh man, now they're gonna job me out to like Mr. Hughes like already. So I kind of was like, man, I don't, this is, it wasn't like what I thought was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought Hack did really good considering, like we said, if that's his first appearance there, then he definitely earned his spot.
Definitely, yeah.
And I have no idea what Paul said to him afterwards, but I'm sure Paul invited him back. Because we were all getting, I think, $100. So it wasn't like we were killing them on payroll. So, Paul was writing checks, or Todd was writing checks, but Paul would just reach into his pocket and just hand his $100 bill. So it wasn't like coming out of HHG. It was coming out of Paul's pocket. So, yeah, and then he invited him back, and, the rest is history. And I'm actually proud that Hack did so good that he got his opportunity. God bless his soul, man. I don't even know how he died, because he wasn't a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know how he died. But when I heard that, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, terrible loss. I actually don't know how he passed up either, to be honest with you. We got Joey Styles in the Eagles Nest now. Jay Sully's back, and he's interviewing in the ring Sandman and Peaches, to which Jason, the Rockin' Rebel, and the Pitbull come out to talk some shit to Sandman, and Jason and Sandman go back and forth, and this is the Sandman gets shit thrown in his face to accidentally backhands Peaches angle.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you he'd been wanting to do that for a long time. And he probably pitched the angle. But, let's do an angle where you
let me backhand
and then I just get to hit the bitch. Yeah, but she did great. I thought, didn't she? I mean,
yeah,
she sold it like probably better than a lot of like non-professionals did. Like she took that bump and just laid there like, damn, this motherfucker just smacked me in the face.
Like a gum wrapper. Yeah, just down. Aaron, what'd you think?
It was a good angle, and it's obviously Sandman just leaves, and Joey claims that there's no way Sandman didn't know that he hit her. And Tommy Cairo comes out and takes her out. So I don't think we're spoiling anything, seeing as though this happened in like 90-4. So this is basically the setup for Sandman turning and actually becoming Sandman. So I'm looking forward to that.
So you think that's coming this soon?
Yeah.
It is? All right.
I believe so.
I thought we still had I thought it wasn't until at least 95.
Well, I mean, this is.
Because doesn't Sandman still have a program with Cairo?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's about to not be the surfer Sandman anymore. He's about to actually kind of be cool, not like in his fucking onesie or whatever he wears to the ring.
His onesie, his rip curl, wetsuit that he's from L.A. or whatever, but he fucking sounds like he's from Jersey.
Yeah,
for that.
I wonder why that didn't work.
Yeah, I bet you Paul couldn't wait to figure out a way to change him. You know what I mean? I bet you he was like, because Hack would not Hack Myers, Sandman, he was interested in like sitting in on like production and all that shit. So I think since Paul saw that he took an interest, sorry man, the mosquitoes here are brutal. That Sandman took an interest in how the show worked.
Well, you can see as you watch the show that Paul's been trying to change him anyway, because there was a few weeks ago, I forget which actual show it was that we were watching, but Sandman was doing something and he was in just pants and a t-shirt, and I actually said on the show, well, we're finally done with the surfer outfit. And then 2 weeks later, the surfer outfit was back. But I mean, you can tell as time's going on and stories are being told and things that Paul, you're definitely right. Paulie can't wait to get him out of that lame gimmick.
I wish they would have did a gimmick where they would have shown, like in the parking lot, him pulling up in like a 68 VW Bug van, the old van with the surfboard strapped to it, like one of them gimmicks, like, oh, he just got in town. Like, he lives in town. Where's the nearest beach in Philadelphia that has waves that you can surf at?
All right. So up next, like Aaron said, Tommy Cairo comes out to console Peaches and takes her out of the ring and out to the back. And now we have a tag match. If you want to, it's the Bruise Brothers against Tony Stetson and Johnny Hotbody.
Well, clearly you can see where you can see what Paulie had in mind for Hot Body instead.
Not much.
Yeah,
Beat the fuck out of these two.
it just sucks that the Harris boys didn't. I don't know why. I really still don't know why. I don't know why. It had to have been money, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're not. I don't think they're there very long.
No, they weren't. They did like one of the next set of tapings.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know they still had to beat up Bob Starr and Dwayne Gill at the tapings. So I know they were there for at least one more set. I'm just so glad my name wasn't on that list. Like when I looked if I were to look at the lineup and it said Chad Austin and Donnie Allen versus the Harris boys, but even if it didn't last long in ECW and if it was over money, because they live in like Memphis, so Paul's got to pay for trans and then he's got to pay him, and they probably wanted way more money than I'm sure Paul thought that they were worth.
Yeah.
So when they left, I was like, dude, these guys are tailor made for ECW. But they always had Memphis to go back to, and if it wasn't Memphis, they still had Smoky Mountain to go back to.
That's what I was. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah,
so it wasn't like they didn't have nowhere to work, and plus they worked for what's that company that Gilbert booked in Japan? Wing.
Yeah. Wing. Yeah. Was that the one that the headhunters wrestled for?
Yeah, the one that Victor Quinones.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he just pass too, or has he been dead?
I think he's been dead.
Sorry, Victor. I got a picture with him upstairs in my room now. Like, he was shocked that I even remembered him. I didn't even know who he was because he wasn't part of any of the shows. He was just an agent guy. So when I asked him, I was like, "Hey, Mr. Quinones, can I get a picture?" And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I remember seeing you like a referee or whatever in the WWF in like 1982 or something, So yeah, I got a picture with him, and that was like a highlight. I really wanted to meet him. Like, I got to meet Victor because I figured that would be my way into Japan. But I'm like, well, not the way Mr. Hughes treated me. I'm not going to Japan with that fucking.
I noticed Bill Apter outside the ring during this match.
Yeah.
So apparently he was snapping some photos of ECW here.
Was Linda there yet? The girl?
I don't think so.
So is Sabu on this show?
Well, yeah, well, if this is the same taping as that would be next week, then yes, because I think next week they hyped that it was going to be Sabu versus Pat Tanaka.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, now I get to say Moses smell the roses. Like, just like, who can we have a loser leave town match where no matter who wins, both leave? Him against Jay Sully? Like,
put Maddie in the house as the referee, and the ref has to leave too.
They all have to leave. I mean, for Christ's sake, out loud. God, I love the Harris boys, man. I just thought they were brutal. They were perfectly designed for ECW, And I wish they would have stuck around longer. But dude, these guys are legitimately. When they say 6'9", it's really hard to comprehend how big 6'9" is, because it sounds like it's big, but it don't sound like it's that big. But then when you stand next to them, they look like they're set like almost. Yeah, that's what they look like because they're just so big.
There's two of them.
There's two of them. And you're kind of like, what?
Well, I can say this honestly, and I mean, other than the Big Show, Aaron and I went to, and at the time I would have been, I don't know, 16 or 17. We went to a WWF house show in 96 and a WWF house show in 97. And I remember those 2 years because the WWF house show in 96 that we went to, Sid was on that show. And at that time in my life, he was the most gigantic human being to me. Like, he was just like, Jesus Christ, this is the biggest human I've ever seen. And then, like Aaron said, Sid, he's just, insane. And then, or at that time. And then the Harris boys were on the show in 97 because at that time they were doing the DOA deal. And I remember thinking that same thing, like, man, TV doesn't do them justice.
No, it doesn't, man. and just that, if you have been in the arena, like, I don't know I think they came out to like Heaven Ain't a Lot Like Dixie or something like that. Mm-hmm. And when they came out and they did that Bruiser Brody-esque like ring walk, you're just like, dude, somebody's getting their ass whooped, man. and clearly it's poor Hot Body and Stetson.
Yes, it was.
And it's more Hot Body than Stetson, because Stetson does a fantastic job when he runs away. It's so funny. Like they get that shot of him, and he's kind of looking back, but he just like vanishes in the darkness.
He says, "I've had enough of this."
Exit stage left. But yeah, that's the deal here. Stetson and Hot Body are, like Aaron said, Stetson pretty much leaves Hot Body to the big bad wolves, and the Harris boys beat the shit out of him and
that double boot at the end was damn, like they go all the way with it.
Johnny Hot Body's head is in Pittsburgh at this point.
They're still looking for it.
Yes, it wound up at the Legends of Hamburg. It's on a table there if you want to see it.
For $15, you can get a picture with Johnny Hot Body's head
and a signed do-rag. Yeah,
you pose next to him. He pose next to him, pointing at it.
He's got a sign with. He's got to hold the pen in his mouth.
Dude, I popped so huge earlier, Aaron, when you texted me that all the guys that got released because it's still going on. What's it been 2 weeks now?
Oh God. The next match on the show is Kevin Sullivan and Taz, the ECW Tag Team Champions, against the Young Dragons from San Francisco.
Clearly, they're Japanese.
Yeah. I told Chad in our group chat for the podcast, I knew Mikey Whipwreck was one of these guys, but I was not sure of who the other was. And you said it is Paul Loria, correct?
Paul Loria, yeah. Because he was with the Ring Crew with Mikey.
Okay.
So I mean, because that's another thing Paul was good at, is Paul wouldn't just beat you as one person. You know what I mean? And then when he realized that Mikey had another outfit, it's like, well, I can beat you again. As the Young Dragons. And then you got Paul. Paul can work. You guys are putting the ring up. Might as well use you as much as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's not paying them per match. He's paying them per night.
Get your money's worth, exactly.
Right, and I mean, and they were great at taking beatings, especially from Taz and Kevin Sullivan. So it was just like, what a showcase for Taz and Sullivan to beat the stuffing out of these two goofs.
Yes, I actually put my only notes on the match are Sullivan and Taz beat the shit out of them. Mm-hmm. That was my notes for the entire match.
What was it? The last show where we said poor Mikey, like that was the start of the poor Mikey era.
Yeah.
Where after the next few weeks, after 911 choke slams me into powder, that Paul was like, well, we got to quit killing this guy, because I mean, this guy's going to be crippled by the end of this program. That we got to move somebody else into this spot.
All right, Aaron, anything on this one?
Sullivan does his little dance again before he hits the tree of woe. Like he does like a boogie woogie man, like knee knocker thing. It's like, I've never seen him do it in any other promotion ever, but in like ECW, I don't, you guys never catch it. But he's done so
I know what you're saying. I know what you're talking about. It's just too bad that it wasn't the boogie woogie man thing. Because you know how Taz does whatever he mimics? He mimics whatever he does. What is he doing with the handsome Jimmy?
Mercy, Daddy. Mercy.
Mercy, Daddy. And then Taz, being from Tasmania, who clearly can't talk, but he can paint his face. He says, Mercy, Daddy.
It's the only English he knows, ladies and gentlemen.
Boogie Woogie Man's taught him to speak.
And he loves the song Guy from New York City.
Yeah, or Abracadabra. No, that's Bugsy McGraw.
Essentially, we get another brawl with the locker room out here as the Bruise Brothers and the Public Enemy come out after this squash match. Lots of brawls, lots of locker room, breakups here on this show.
Chaos.
Is it, what do I want to say? Is it like Cornette says? Is it a hat on a hat? Having two of the same type of segment in the same show? I'm posing the question just because I want to know opinions. I don't think it is, because at this time it's ECW and it's something different.
I got to be honest. I really don't have much of an opinion on this, because at that point I was just so used to how Paul was changing stuff that nothing shocked me, and everything was done. It wasn't like everything happened in that order,
Right.
The shit was taped, and then Paul just went and edited everything to make it the way that he he wanted it to be. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the way that shit happened. But yeah, I guess I get what you're saying. It's brawl after brawl after brawl after brawl. But that's because Paul was trying to make. I mean, like you said, a hat on a hat, the proverbial chicken salad.
Right.
Like if that's all I got to do is hide these guys' weaknesses by just having them just brawl, and then have everybody run out, then they're not going to see how bad the Rockin' Rebel is.
And does that make Paulie? And I guess I'm posing this question to you, Chad, because I know what that you're such an Eddie fan. But does that make Paulie? Do you think that makes Paulie a better booker than Eddie? Because Eddie wasn't able to do that with, like we said, he wasn't really doing the best with the talent he had when he was in here booking.
Right.
And
right.
it could also have been about where he was in his life and his personal life and everything at the time.
Who, Eddie?
But yeah, I don't know. Did he just? I mean, I guess I'm talking in circles here, but just I think Paulie's doing better, like you said, accentuating the positives and downplaying the negatives, whereas Eddie wasn't really doing that.
Yeah, I think Eddie was just I think he was just kind of winging it, and booking but Eddie was the kind of guy who booked like months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
He booked like Memphis, like weeks and weeks in advance, and you know how shit changes.
Yeah.
And Paul didn't do that shit. Paul booked on. He looked in the locker room because we had we had that big thing in the locker room where Paul's like kind of office was where he paid you at, and he would look over the railing and look down and go, "All right, we got this guy and that guy, and then this guy and that guy. So we'll make everything happen like that." But I think Paul was a better booker because he saw he booked according to the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like I think Eddie would be the kind of guy that would just stick with something. Like if he booked it,
right.
That was one of the things about Eddie in Puerto Rico with Dutch when they were both there working together.
Mm-hmm. Like
Eddie would go to Dutch on the beach and be like, "Hey, the show's tonight," and Dutch was like, "Yeah." He's like, "What do you got?" He goes, "I don't know." And then Dutch would write the show. He's like, Dutch said he'd write the show while he was on the beach drinking rum, like that night's show kind of thing. And Eddie didn't do that shit. He booked shit in advance. But in a territory like ECW, you really can't do that. I don't think you could.
With talent coming in and out from week to week and
the talent that you had.
Mm-hmm. So then to end the show, we have Public Enemy goofing in Todd Gordon's office. At first, they act like they don't know the camera's there, and then they act like they know the camera's there, as they're looking for a piece of paper to see who gets the title shot at the March 5th show against Taz and Sullivan. And
wasn't that where Public Enemy and Taz and Sullivan they argue over who can have a worse match? You really can't hear what they're saying, but I can hear Rocco going, "Man, Johnny, I know we're worse than them. I know we're worse than them." It has to be, right?
It has to be. That's
what they were arguing about.
Mercy, Daddy.
And then you got Johnny going, "Man, Rocco, I know we can do worse than them."
Well, guys, overall, what did you guys think of this episode of ECW that we've just discussed?
Pretty much you've already said it, Nate. It was a lot of schmozzes, a lot of brawling, not a whole lot of actual content. Mm-hmm. And there was several promos pushing the March 5th show or whatever it was kind of thing, which was it's kind of cool because that's what you use your TV for as a platform to push your big shows. But again, the one thing I hate about the network is that they don't show you the shows that are coming up. Mm-hmm. Because they were at this point, Paul was running. I can't remember what the name of the place was. That's on that mountaintop that Sandman threatened to throw me off of. Literally, it was on a mountaintop, and the locker room was overlooking the mountain, down to the mountain. Mm-hmm. Sandman told me that if I didn't leave, that he was going to throw me over the mountain thing. And then I went out and looked down, and I just said, "Well, I ain't got time to change." So I literally drove home wearing the same clothes that I was wearing in the ring, and I'm like, "Fuck this."
I think that the last thing I'll say on this show is, and I keep to put it in perspective for somebody that maybe, I don't know, wasn't watching wrestling back then or is younger and listening to this show or what have you, the thing that to me, when I watch the shows, I try to think of that I'm watching this in 1994. And if I've got WWF, which the 94 is absolutely positively the most abysmal, boring year for Raw in the WWF ever had. And then over on WCW, I've got Hulk Hogan and the Dungeon of Doom and all that cartoony shit going on. This right here that's why I don't know that all the brawls on the show are a hat on a hat, because it's something different. It's something more exciting and et cetera, et cetera. So, Aaron, what did you think?
It was what it was. Nothing really happened on it, but nothing was really bad on it either. I mean, it was just a basic show, I think, and they didn't really start anything because there's just everything that's already going on is just kind of like
they already killed me versus Shane.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the start of a hot feud right there. But my arch nemesis 911 had to come out and ruin it for the people.
That hurt the crowd. Like, the crowd was like, "Oh, we're here to see this Chad Austin and Shane Douglas match," and then
hell yeah,
like, "Oh, it was a bait and switch." What? So then, like, the whole rest of the night, the crowd was just dead because they were like, "We came here to see Chad Austin versus Shane Douglas," and they fucked us.
Well, you fucked us, Paulie.
Honestly, I will say this: after a while, when I started to get pushed, like a little more, and I stayed back then before the gangsters, put it that way. And we still had an account with the Radisson. Like, I would hang down in the lobby. A lot of fans would hang out there, and a lot of people were like, "Dude, we really like you." Like, and I'm like, "Why?" Because they liked the way that I bumped.
Mm-hmm.
They liked the way that I took it serious. You know what I mean? And they liked the way I got my ass whooped. Is pretty much what they were trying to tell me.
Right.
And I'm just like, "Hey, at least you guys like something." You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure.
So that was cool.
All right, everybody.
Other than that, I agree with you, Nate. I think it was just it was just a show to basically build up the fifth show without giving you anything.
Yes. Yeah. Without giving you too much. Without giving too much away. But they did give us a little glimpse, a little preview of Sabu and Shane Douglas by having them have that brawl. So that was a nice touch.
I still can't figure out how I have Damien Amento's name written on there. He must have been on there or something, or maybe because they put his name like on the crawler, maybe for I don't know, or something for a show.
Maybe.
Because I'm not going to randomly write Damien Amento's name.
Maybe he possessed you at that moment and had you write it, so it's like he'd be mentioned on the podcast. This is the most Damien Demento's been talked about in 20 years.
Well, believe me, my match with Damien Demento was his last, at least in ECW. Because after I worked him, Paul apologized to me. He literally put me in the ring with Damien Demento because he thought that I would get him over, like by bumping. But afterwards, Paul pulled me aside and said, put his hands on my shoulders, and was like, "Chang, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Because he was awful." And I was just like, "I don't know. I mean, what do you want?" He just threw me around. So I don't know what you consider, what you wanted.
He was pretty fucking awful, though. Let's be honest.
He was awful as Mondo Clean.
Yes, he was. All right, everybody. Well, we'll wrap up this edition of Reliving the Extreme. It was nice to get back with the boys here and back in action talking about ECW. Aaron, Chad, any parting words for our listeners before we say tally ho for this week?
I don't think I have anything to plug. Other than the hotel that I'm going to be staying at for the next probably 2 weeks.
Sequestered, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be great when I do the next show from the hotel lobby, and I go down there and I get all banged up, and I'm sitting there with my little tripod gimmick that I'm using right here, like in the lobby, and I'm yelling, "Fucking, Jay Sully again."
You look across the bar and there he is, Jay Sully. At the bar in Baltimore.
There was a bar we were at in South Carolina that had Goldberg there. Didn't I text you that?
Like the actual Goldberg?
No, the guy thought he was Gold. He was like Goldberger.
Okay.
I mean, because I looked at him and I said, I looked at Jess and I said, "Is that Goldberg?" Because I knew it wasn't. And she goes, and she knew that I was going to go ask him. Like, are you Goldberg? You know, and I walked over and he was like, "No," and I was like, "If you were, am I next? Can I be next, please?" But no, he's only got one more match left, and I don't remember who that's against.
Well, apparently it's against Lashley.
Oh, that's a doozy.
Yeah. Aaron, any parting words for this week?
Nope, just thanks for listening.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you next time around next week here on Reliving the Extreme.